Hello, my name's Chris Payton. I work as a genealogist in Ayrshire in Scotland. Although I'm originally from Northern Ireland, I've been here for quite a while now. I wanted to bring you some news about a new book that I've just produced called Tracing Your Scottish Family History on the Internet. And this has just been published by Pen and Sword. And within this particular book, I want to try and explain some of the resources that are available online that can help you with your Scottish family history research. Now, I've previously produced a book in a similar vein called Tracing Your Irish Family History on the Internet, and the structure of this book is very similar to that. There are 6 chapters within the book. The first chapter is entitled Gateways and Institutions. And within this, I try to explain the key repositories that exist within the country, both in a physical sense, such as the National Records of Scotland and the National Library of Scotland, for example, but also in a virtual sense. We have a lot of mainstream vendors that exist now that include the big boys such as Ancestry and Find My Past, but also some very bespoke Scottish sites that are now available, such as Scottish Indexes and Old Scottish and various others, doing a good job trying to open up the archive content in the country for you to access from the comfort of your home. So that's the first chapter. In addition to obviously looking at the key repositories, I deal with a few other subjects such as language and handwriting, looking at things like the old form of Scots writing, such as secretary hand, but also languages such as Scots and Gaelic and so on that have affected how records have been recorded in the past. Now, following on from the first chapter, I then go into a chapter which basically looks at the Scotland's People website. Now, Scotland's People, if you're not aware of it, is the key online resource for births, marriages, and deaths and censuses. But there's a lot hidden away within that site that you need to kind of come to grips with in terms of how to unlock the potential of the platform. So I talk a bit about the records that are available, but also the help resources and some of the other aspects of that site that can really aid your understanding when it comes to Scottish research and to help you to really try to understand what's actually going on within the records that you're looking at. Then in chapter 3, it's called Who Were They? Further Sources, and that looks at a variety of other resources available, including other vital records, births, marriages, and deaths that aren't available on Scotland's People, but also other places where you'll find records, including other repositories within the United Kingdom, for example. To give an example of that, the General Register Office for England also provides access to records for the military when they were stationed overseas. So some of your Scots, the records for those people may actually have to be applied for through the English General Register Office as opposed to within Scotland. But also things like maps and gazetteers and newspapers, and another massive thing happening at the moment, which is DNA. There's a few DNA platforms can help with your research. Then in chapter 4, I look at occupations, and within this, I look at a variety of sort of jobs that our ancestors might have had in the past, from the humble agricultural labourer to the professional classes. I also cover military service within that, not just within Scots serving within the British Army, but before the British Army, there were other armies, and Scotland wasn't always part of the United Kingdom. So there are other records to look at that can help with your ancestry in the past as well. But also the records that can help for people when they were out of work, when they were in times of hardship, the poor law records, for example, and records of law and order. So that sort of gives an overview of some of the economic activities of our ancestors in the past. Then in chapter 5, I look county by county for particular resources that exist at a more local level, and some of the records that can exist on that basis. In addition to that, I also have a section on the Western Isles. Now, the Western Isles is actually divided across a couple of counties, in the country. But I've done a section specifically on the Western Isles just because they are a kind of a geopolitical unit of their own in some regards, not least because of language and Gaelic and so on. Then in the final chapter, which is chapter 6, Scotland's Diaspora, I look at the immigrant ancestors that went abroad and established what is now the Scottish diaspora on a worldwide basis. So that's covering everything from the plantations in Ireland, for example. Um, Scotland's earliest colony was Ireland, the plantations of Ulster and that kind of thing. The British Empire and the spread of Scots throughout the empire. But then, looking at Scots in Europe, the USA, the Caribbean, South America, Australia, New Zealand, even India at one point. So that kind of gives you an idea of some of the archives and repositories that exist overseas that can help you to trace what became of your ancestors and their families when they emigrated. So the book ends with a further reading section. I hope that it might prove to be of some use for your research. Tracing Your Scottish Family History on the Internet is now available from the Pen and Sword website. This is the print edition. It's a fairly hefty tome. You can also buy the book in a Kindle format and other ebook possibilities as well. So the book is now available for sale. £14.99 is the recommended retail price. I hope it helps with your research, and thanks very much.